Good evening, baseball fans. Welcome to Chop House Chatter. I'm Jackson.
And I'm Thomas. It's been a while, Chop House Cheddar fans. It's been a hot second.
Uh, yeah, life happens. Baseball goes so fast. The year's gone so fast. But once again, the Braves are division champions.
For the six-time division champions on their way to 14 again.
That'd be great.
That would be amazing. For a team to do that twice.
That'd be wonderful. And I hope we clinch in Philadelphia every year. Stay salty, Phillies fans. The boos are still ringing in my ears.
I don't want to poke the bear right now because Philly's hype. And I know they got a chip on their shoulder because we beat them on their field. We clinched on their field. And we're going to most likely see them in 2 weeks in the postseason.
This is not directed at the Phillies team. This is directed at Phillies fans.
At the fans, okay.
At the fans,
so stay salty. Team alone. Don't touch the team.
Yeah. They do whatever they do. They're fighting for their lives for the first wild card spot. So I'll leave them alone. But yeah, Phillies fans, stay salty. They're not mocking the fly Eagles fly because the Eagles aren't that notable.
So because it's a best of 3 series for the wild card, it is that big of a deal to get that top seed in the wild card.
Absolutely, all 3 games would be at home.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to play the 3rd game, so I mean, if you're Philly, you don't want to fall behind Arizona and have to go fly all the way across the country to play 3 games. Possibly 3 games in Arizona.
So as you can see behind me, I do have the standings up. Got the division leaders up top. Philly is currently in that first wild card spot. Arizona, Chicago, and then in the hunt in the National League. You still got 3 teams in the hunt. And then there is a 2-way tie for the last wild card spot with the Mariners and Texas Rangers, and no one else is in the hunt. That's it. That's the American League.
Yeah. American League's a little top heavy this year.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. But the Braves clinched. They've had a crazy season, a fantastic season. As of recording right now on Thursday night, they're playing their game against Washington. They have 97 wins.
Mm-hmm.
So they should easily pass 100, knock on wood. It's possible not to win 100 games, but I would be very surprised if they didn't. Yeah. And they're just putting up numbers, Thomas.
Now, at the beginning of the season, if I had told you we were going to be losing Max Fried for 2.5 months, Kyle Wright for 3 months, we're going to lose half of the pitching staff, Jesse Chavez for half the year, would you believe we would have won the division this quickly? I think we won on September 13th. That was super early.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have believed you, considering Max Fried is kind of like the go-to guy when you're on a losing streak. He goes out there and he does his thing and gets you the win. So it's just
I feel like that's been Spencer Strider this year. He's been turning around every losing streak that we've had.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about him, he's only had a couple rough starts. And I know the long ball's kind of been his problem this year, but everything else has looked really good. He's kept the walks down for the most part.
Yeah.
He's still striking out a ton of batters. This last start against Philadelphia, he looked really good at just putting guys away, not necessarily with the strikeout. So, Spencer's had a great season. Probably won't win Cy Young, unfortunately, with that 3.8.
I hope he at least gets like in top 3, maybe top 2 for the Cy Young voting, but I think Blake Snell runs away with it.
I don't think Snell runs away with it.
No?
No. He's walked way too many guys.
Got it.
He's walked enough people to fill a small country. But I think, Spencer's season has been crazy. It's been historic. I think he's like 6 strikeouts away from passing John Smoltz.
Yeah, so he'll get that on his next start.
Yeah,
we're averaging 7-8 strikeouts a game.
Yeah, and who's left? Washington and the Cubs. So
maybe he might get. Yeah, he'll sneak one start in against Washington, and the Cubs. The Cubs are still going to be fighting, so they might be a little bit tougher of a challenge for him.
But I think he could strike out 6 Cubs.
Yeah, he definitely can. Definitely capable.
So he's closing on that. We'll get to Acuna in a second, but Matt Olson passing your boy Andrew Jones.
He will always be my boy. Retired number. Love that guy. He will always be my favorite player. So I definitely went to the number retirement for Andrew, and Andrew had high praise for Olson taking over his record. And he said Olson go for 60. I'd say go for it.
Yeah, I think Matt Olson definitely has the power to kind of hit 60, but I think he's a really good year. He's like a 280 hitter, 52 home runs, has like 135 RBIs or something like that.
Any other
It's
season that would have been MVP easily.
oh, easily. Last year, that smokes Paul Goldschmidt's season.
Oh yeah,
The landslide.
And
But
usually when you have this many home runs, you don't have the average that you have for Matt Olson, but he's still sticking up there in the high 200s.
Yeah, and what's really surprised me is he does strike out a lot. He leads the league in strikeouts, or he's like second behind Kyle Schwarber or something like that. It doesn't matter, but he's walked a ton this year, and he's turned a lot of those double. Last year he had like 50 doubles.
Yeah,
he's kind of flipped his doubles and his home runs. So I think he's just really kind of found his power stroke, especially at home. That's kind of allowed him to, turn into that 50, 60 home run threat. That it's going to be great for the Braves. Next 5 years with Olsen in that lineup, going to be pretty good.
So I say he's now officially comfortable in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, replacing a guy like Freddie Freeman, you're probably a little uncomfortable, especially a guy as nice as Matt. His expectation was probably, I got to be Freddie. Freddie's Freddie, but Matt just has to be Matt.
Yeah. And they do have two completely different games. They're very similar in a lot of aspects, but when you put a bat in their hands, they're completely completely different players, and you can't compare them. You can't put them side by side and think he's going to play like Freddie. He's not going to play like Freddie. He's going to play like Matt.
Yeah, and I just think this breakout season is exactly why Atlanta's, despite all those injuries we talked about earlier, is where they are. I think not only the whole lineup hitting, I think the emergence of Matt Olson as kind of like the premier power threat has kind of translated a lot of the lineup success into runs, which they struggled with, runners in scoring position last year a little bit.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and hit on Ronald Acuna Jr. What kind of season has he put together?
One of the greatest of all time, might I say.
What surprises me is that there's still a conversation for MVP, but all four of these candidates for MVPs would be a natural award winner any other season. When you have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Acuna, and Matt Olson, that's tough company to keep, and they're putting together great seasons in their own.
Yeah, they're all great seasons, but they're nothing like Ronnie's season. Here, I got some stats pulled up for you. Entering play tonight, Thursday, September 21st. He's leading the league in runs with 139, hits with 206, stolen bases with 67. He's got a 416 on base percentage, which leads the league, and a 1,009 OPS, which leads the league.
Please tell me you read that article by the LA Dodgers beat writer that said Mookie Betts runs away with the award and it's not even competition anymore.
No, I didn't read that, but he's tied Mookie Betts with home runs. They both have 39, and he has 100 runs batted in, which is like 2 behind Mookie.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact: Acuna struck out one more time than he's walked.
So, yeah, I think he almost cut his strikeouts in half for this year than he did last year, right?
Yeah, his strikeout percentage is basically cut in half. He's added 5% to his walk percentage, which is significant. The power's back. He hits the all fields. He just hits the ball hard. I think what's made him kind of like a must-watch hitter has been
how much recognition should we give his stolen base record for, especially with the new rule changes that we have this year?
I think you should give it a lot. The rules evolve. If we're going to sit here and put asterisks against every time the rules change, I'm going to sit here and say all hitting records after 1969 don't count because they lowered them out.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid. Baseball evolves, with how athletic catchers are now, with the arms they have, with how hard pitchers throw. It certainly offsets, the base runner's ability to steal second base. And I think, a lot of people saying, oh, it's easier, the bases are smaller, yeah, it helps them in close plays, but I think the bigger impact is kind of in the pitch clock. That's on pitchers, man. With runners on base, you can't be running that down to 0.
Yeah.
To have guys time you up. So, and nobody likes how you could just throw over 15 times in a row with the old pickoff rule. I've always thought that's really dumb. And sometimes pitchers would just do it to waste time, just to bother people. And I'm glad
That's what I mean. Yeah, like especially if they're not ready to pitch, if they're trying to like pause and postpone and like just lag along, just throw over 2 or 3 times, catch your breath, and then you can start pitching.
Oh, it's even worse the guys that had like no pickoff mood because they'd like step off and give like the laziest throw to first base you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like you playing catch with your dad in the backyard, or are you here to play a baseball game? Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I think Acuna receives recognition. I mean, it's fair to acknowledge that the rules changed. But again, he's so far ahead of the pack of everyone else. There's only 3 players with 50 stolen bases this year. So you can't only attribute it to the stolen base rule changing. He also leads the league in caught stealing, which shows that, you can't be thrown out.
Everything he's doing is aggressive this year, and he made a point to mention that when it comes to him batting, he's trying to be aggressive, and it's working out. He's waiting, or he's taking his pitch when it comes, not waiting for it. So it's working out for him.
Yeah, and the extra contact skills certainly have helped, kind of evolve him as a hitter.
Yeah.
Something I didn't mention, he's hitting 337 entering play tonight, which is, wild that a 40 home run guy's hitting like 340 in today's game. So I think,
from the first place guy with the average, I know Luis Reyes, he was flirting around like 340, 350. Is Acuna anywhere near him?
I don't think so. I think Arise is back up near 360.
Oh God.
He kind of went on a 354. Yeah.
He torched the Braves when they swept us last week. That was ugly.
Hit 3 of his 10 home runs in the season in 2 days. Yeah. I was like, they passing out PEDs in the locker room or something. Like, what the heck?
I didn't watch the game, but I kept seeing my watch go off. Luis Reyes. Jesus, come on, man. If it wasn't a home run, he was hitting a double, hitting an RBI. That guy, he had a great series against the Braves.
Yeah, he's a good hitter. And I think that's why Acuna won't catch him. 15 points behind with 10 games to play. Arise would have to go like 0 for 60, and Acuna like 50 for 60. But we've seen weirder things in baseball. I just doubt it happens.
Got it. So give me your ranking for the MVP voting, and then give me your ranking for, let's say, the top 3 Cy Young winners.
All right. National League, right?
Yes. Yeah. Who cares about American League?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Glad we're on the same page. National League MVP. It's going to be Ronald Acuna Jr. first. I'm going to be controversial and put Matt Olson second and Freddie Freeman third.
Yeah. So I think me and Bill might have been right there with you when it came to ranking those players. And I can't remember if we put Matt Olson second or Freddie Freeman second, but we both put Mookie Betts hitting or going last with it. And he's put together a great season. Don't get me wrong there, but just with what the other players have done, it's hard to compete with that. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm putting Matt Olson second for him hitting 52 plus home runs.
Yeah, and Olson's really kind of bridged that gap that Mookie had over him, like the 100 OPS, 100 points in OPS. It's down to like 30 points, which is negligible when it comes to MVP voting.
Yeah.
Once you get into that like 30, 40 point range, Olson's he's got the sexy stats, man.
Gotta love the sexy stats. And then as far as your Cy Young, are you giving it to Blake Snell?
After the start he had last time out, I think that's kind of cemented his resume. He's got like a streak of 24 hitless innings or something stupid.
Yeah.
So I think you got to give it to Snell. Justin Steele's definitely probably the runner-up.
So you don't think Strider will slide in there at number 3?
I think Strider will slide in there at number 3. It's either him or Zach Gallen.
Got it.
Gallen's just been really kind of Jekyll and Hyde, home and away. He's been really good at home.
I would love for Strider to some kind of way maybe pitch a no-hitter in his last start of the season just to boost his numbers so we can slide into second. We'll have back-to-back years of runner-up Cy Youngs, and then him and Max Fried being healthy next year. Hopefully the Braves bring Max Fried back. Great 1-2 combo there.
Yeah, Fried has one more season after this one.
He does have one more?
So he'll be a free agent after next year. But here's the hoping for an extension for that. But, if this were 1985, Spencer Strider is the Cy Young Award winner because he's got the wins. But
What's he sitting at 18 right now?
Yeah, he leads all of MLB in wins.
Does
So
he sneak into the 20 club?
he could.
I only see him getting 2 more starts, and some kind of way we'll screw it up. If we want to start talking about pitching, we'll be here all night because the Braves pitching has been, especially the last week, it's made me age up at least 15 years. So I can see Strider having 2 great starts, but something will happen to screw up one of those starts. I can already see it.
You know what? Just a preview for the next time we hop on and talk about the pitching. There's no need to panic. Come October, a lot of these guys you screwed up won't even be sniffing the playoff roster. They'll be out on the golf course.
Yeah.
So we don't got to worry about it.
Got it.
But I trust in the bullpen down the stretch.
And do you think the bullpen's going to be as good as last year?
I think so. Tio Jesse's back, man.
Yeah, Uncle Jesse, gotta love him out there.
So Uncle Jesse's back. Nick Anderson might make it back. He's rehabbing. Gwinnett's season ends this week, so if he can, have a good string and he feels good at the end of this week, possibly next week he can get in a couple appearances ahead of the postseason.
Yeah,
I think the first round bye will definitely help with that. The 3 days off.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think that the bullpen getting Anderson and Chavez back, to kind of fill in those last 2 spots. I think the Braves bullpen's going to be really good come October.
Okay. And last question before we end it, and we didn't talk about this. I'm just going to throw it out there for you. Do you want Vaughn Grissom on the bench or Nicky Lopez? Who would you rather?
That's a tough one. Nicky Lopez made a big impression with me with his crazy game to start his Braves career, that 6 RBI game or whatever he had.
Yeah.
I think in October, Grissom's bat is nice, but the Braves have lots of bats.
Yeah.
I think Nicky Lopez's ability to be fast, he's a fast base runner, he's a good base runner, and a good defender is probably more valuable in October.
So you're giving him a nod there.
Yeah, because if you need to pinch run a guy like Austin Riley or Matt Olson late in the game, Nicky Lopez can cover third base and first base.
Yeah.
Although I think Riley would move over to first base before Lopez. But anyways, I think Lopez is a nice alternative. He defends just as well as Orlando. Has just as strong of an arm. So I think Lopez makes the roster.
Okay. Thank you for that. You got anything else for us?
Hopefully Ronnie gets another at bat this evening and he just blasts home run number 40. And
I would love for him to not have to worry about that the last week of the season. Let's knock it out this week and he can just relax. He has the record. He can go into the postseason without the monkey on his back.
Yeah. And, hopefully the Braves use these last 10 games to kind of just tune up and get the guys that are going to be pitching in October pitching. What really bugged me about the Miami series is, they're throwing Derek Rodriguez out there, Jared Schuster. It's like, really, in September?
Yeah.
So,
but I had a feeling that was going to happen, especially with us clinching. I didn't think that weekend we were going to do anything. They were still in that hangover from Philadelphia, and that's why we ran on a 4-game skid.
Oh, where they were hitting the club in Miami.
Oh, yeah. Especially how Ronnie was his rookie season, partying in the clubhouse at 20 years old. Oh, he was definitely having a lot of fun down in Miami.
It was Ronnie and Marcelo Ozuna tearing up the club. So,
all right, that's gonna be it for us. Any last words, Jackson?
As always, go Braves and chop on.
Chop on.